Okay, good evening everybody, and welcome to the Team 3R Tour of Sicily. We're on stage 9, the penultimate stage, and it's going to be a pretty exciting affair, I think, because this course lends itself to attacks and breakaways, as you can see from the profile. So it should make for an interesting stage tonight. It's nice to see the Team 3R jerseys on the start line. Now, just to explain to folks that are new to the series, I won't be racing. I have to get on the bike and turn the pedals every 30 minutes, but that's all I will be doing. It's more important that I cover the race and commentate, and I can't do that while I'm trying to cycle. You'll have to excuse the vest I'm wearing rather than my normal t-shirt, but it's like over 30 degrees here in my pain cave. So I'm pretty hot, even with the aircon on. Now it's a small turnout tonight. We've still a few minutes to go, but 3 minutes to go before the kickoff. So hopefully one or two more may well join us, but if not, I'm sure we'll have a good race. Some of the regulars are here, but no sign of my fellow teammate Luke Jeffries yet. Yes, as I say, you can see I'm a little bit flushed tonight because it's very, very hot. And I don't really go well in this hot weather. It's pretty difficult. So in effect, I'm really glad I'm not racing because I don't think I get round the course. My heart rate is probably already well elevated. So all the usual suspects, all these riders have ridden with me before, although Horgard is relatively new. Don't really know anything about him, so let's see how capable he is. And let's jump on the bike and then we're ready to, you can see there's 30 seconds to go. So I have to jump on the bike just to make sure that we turn the pedals and kick off the race, and then I'll get straight on the race commentary. So bear with me, folks, and start your engines. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're off. There you go. And now I'll pull over to the side of the road and we'll pick up commentary. So back into my chair. And let's find out. Come on. Why is it? Okay. Okay. Why are we not getting commentary now? I hate it when things just don't work. Okay. No. Okay, I'm really struggling here to find out what's wrong. Why is it not working? Oh, I hate this. I really do. What about now? Is it working now? No. Why am I? Don't understand this. Okay, folks, it looks like I can't get commentary mode working at all. I don't know what the problem is. I hope somebody else is recording it. I'm going to shut it down and start again. So I'm going to close down the software. Are we back online? Yes, we are. There we go. So hopefully this will pick up. Okay, is my microphone working? Yeah, it looks like the microphone's working. So we should be good to go here. Let's get that out of the way. Okay. Nothing's ever easy, is it? Technical glitches tonight. I just cannot get this software to... Okay, I'll try and... No, it's... Okay, so Chris has been dropped from the main group. We got Mr. Purdon, his last man on the road. So there I am, but Purdon's last man on the road. Chris has been dropped. And then we have the front group, although it looks like Evan has taken a fly off the front again. Yep, there he is. So Evan's taken a 15-meter gap, but here they are catching up to him. So let's just yeah, there we go. We can see them on the road. I'm just going to check the feed again. Let's pull that one down. Yeah, that looks to be... So the feed looks to be working. It's just the... for some reason, I can't get the... Come on. Okay, you're just going to have... I'm not going to be able to put the cameras on me tonight, so I'll do the best I can with this. It's pretty poor because none of my software is working correctly. So I'm hoping that this is going out. Now Tim's joined Evan at the front of the race. Let's concentrate on what's happening behind. These two were duking it out last week, along with Steve Noble. And there you've got Leblec's chasing. He's not far behind them, actually. 60 meters. So he could well, you can see them in front, he could well pull them back. And then, well, we've already seen, we've got Hulgard pulling the group back. Now I need to keep an eye on Hulgard because looking at his figures, 3 point, oh, I don't know, he may be okay. We'll see. Steve Noble will get back and jump on his wheel with Mike Wareham as well. So I think these chasers are going to join forces the 4 chasers. There we go. And on this downhill section, there's the opportunity to try and pull back some of the lead. Let's just go back up front and have a look at these. If you look at the relative speeds, yeah, there's a little bit. They're on the 5% slope. They're on the 4, so there's not much difference in speeds, but there is a difference in effort. The group behind don't want to be freewheeling. They really should be putting the power down. You can see clearly, look, 0, 0, 0, 0. They're not the freewheeling. They're not doing what the 2 out the front are doing, which is they're on the downhill. Look, let's just go back to sorry. There we go. And you can see that they're still on the downhill and they're still putting in the power, whereas the guys behind, okay, they're doing so now, but they were freewheeling, and you just cannot afford to do that when trying to close a gap. So how far behind Kevin? This is a bit of a surprise, although Kevin, by his own admission, is a heavy rider, doesn't like the uphills. But I expect him to put in a bit of effort on this next section before they get to the next climb. So Kevin, yeah, could come back a little. And then we got Chris Little, and of course Perdon is just riding his own race as he did last week at the back. It'll be interesting to see whether Kevin can close this gap. He has done slightly, as you can see, so he's bringing it down, and I suspect he will do so on this next section because this is his forte, the flat and shall we say non-uphill sections. But these 4 are cutting into the lead of the 2 men out front, which is Tim Cook and Evan Oystensen. So these 2 will work nicely together. Teammates now. Yeah, Evan's putting in a good effort here, some good wattage. He's not going to drop Tim on this kind of terrain, so these 2 are going to work together and try and stave off the group behind. But the group behind are managing to peg. Well, we'll see. I'm saying they're managing to peg it, and then it's just about, yeah, just about keeping it around the 110 mark. Sometimes slightly under, sometimes slightly over. So we'll see what happens over this next few kilometers, whether they manage to pull it back. And that's the main. I'm not so sure that Kevin is going to close this gap. I was hoping he would do so, but it's not really closing quickly. Although he's pulling it. No, he's pulling it back. Be fair to the guy. I don't think Chris will have the power to get back to the second group on the road, though. But Kevin may well do so. The real battle is, and you can see they've already cut into the lead even more. They've got it down to 90 meters now, and it'll fluctuate as they go up and down these hills and the rolling section until they get to this next hill. But there's no reason why they can't close this gap if they work nicely together. It'll be interesting to see whether they can close up this gap. Tim giving me a wave. Now I wonder whether the group behind can actually, yes they can, so they can see them on the road, and that's going to be, and you can see they're bringing the distance down all the time. It's 60 meters now, so they are going to come back. And in fact Tim isn't really pushing on here. Evan's doing the work on the front, although having said that, and then Tim comes through, I think the group behind are gonna catch these two, and it's all gonna come back together. Now, whether it will split up again on this next climb that I'm pointing to now with my mouse, we'll have to wait and see. But this is going to be an interesting battle, and we'll have to wait and see what happens. And you can see that Tim, who's like a really strong rider on the downhills, pushes it out slightly. There he is, going into the red zone. So they're trying to stay away from the riders behind. But I don't think they're going to do so. I think the riders behind are going to close up this 50 meters. It's swapping and changing a bit. Sometimes it's over 50, sometimes it's below. It's down to 40 now. And you can see that Kevin has not really closed up that 500 meter gap. That, in fact, it's extending. So he's not really closed up that gap, and I doubt he's going to do so. So I think the race is going to be amongst these six here. And here we are. Here's the catch, all back together. Okay, and as you can see, the Mike Wareham and Howgart come past Steve Noble. So I have a feeling that this group are going to work together now. And they're not going to allow him. Evan made the initial break, and Tim was able to bridge the gap, but they weren't able to keep it. And I don't think they're going to let anybody jump off the front now, probably until the next climb. But we'll wait and see what happens. I'm going to stay with the action on the front, folks, because that's where the main entertainment is going to be. I will drop back and check on Kevin, Chris Little, and Alex Purden during the race, but I want to stay with these riders, these six, and just see what happens. I'm also going to I'm going to message Steve Noble and ask him to contact me. Okay, you should see that message. You might be too busy to respond to it, but what I've done there is I'm basically going to ask Steve Noble if he will join the team, because I don't think he's affiliated with a team yet. So I'm going to invite him to join Team 3R. Now then, who's that jumping off? Mike is having a dig. So Mike's got a 20-meter gap off the front. They're not going to let him go. There's no way in hell they're going to let him go. But he's probably trying to get a little bit of distance because of the hills coming up. Mike is a slightly heavier rider, he won't mind me saying. So hills are not really his best feature. So he's trying to get a little bit of a head start before we hit the hills, which is a good tactic, but it's not going to work with this group because they're just not going to let him go. Now Evan's the one that's likely to try and push on here. My guess is, let's turn the camera around and get a view from behind them. And the reason why I say that is because Evan and Tim are probably in this event today, this kind of terrain, are probably the two strongest riders. And there you can see, this is why Mike pushed off the front. No two ways about it. That's why he was pushing off the front, purely and simply because he knows that he's going to struggle to keep up with the guys once the terrain starts to go uphill. And he won't mind me saying that. Let's have a look and see what's happening at the front. I mean, this is the rolling section of the course before we get to this next hill here, this next orange and red section. It's not a very long hill, but it's enough to give the riders that push on a chance to get a bit of a gap, like they did on the first hill. But again, I really don't see it happening. I mentioned this in my pre-race notes that yes, a breakaway could stick tonight, but it was unlikely to do so. I really think that this is going to come down to a bunch sprint. I don't see the group letting a rider get off the front again when it really matters. Although it does look like the group is, Librex is dropping off the back, so it does look like the group is down to 4. I mean, Mike's gone. He's now 30 odd meters behind Librex, and Librex is a further 30 meters behind the group. There's no saying he won't close that gap, but he has to do so pretty quickly, because if they get to the top of the climb with a gap of 20 or 30 meters and that downhill, it's going to grow. I mean, it's growing now. So my guess is he's not going to catch those riders in front. These riders are gone now. So it's between these 4. And I can call that quite easily. Now, normally I check out riders before the events, for the start of the race, but because of the technical problems I've been having tonight, I never got the time or the chance to do that. So I don't know anything about Hogard. I would like to have seen some of his previous ride performances to know whether he's a contender for the win tonight. But you've got the strongest riders, the 3 other riders, Tim Cook, Steve Noble and Evan Oystenson. They're the 3 strongest riders in the league at the moment. And I would expect those 3 to go right to the finish themselves together. I mean, what you can do here, folks, is you can look at the watt kilos that the riders are putting out, and you can see the top 3 riders, in fact, the top 4 riders now, are all in the red. So they're all putting out above FTP effort on this hill to stay with the group. And even so, Evan and Tim are opening up a 10-meter gap. It's going to get closed down. Steve's not going to let them go, I'm pretty sure. He needs to make sure it doesn't grow to 10 meters, though, by the time they get over the top. So he needs to come on, Steve, you need to close this down. Because if they get over the top and you're 20 meters, which you are now, they might go. They might leave you. Yeah. And this is the worry I have when you see a rider. Now, Steve had problems last week, and it looks like he's got problems tonight as well, because that's most unusual to see him lose 80 meters in such a short space of time. I don't know what the issue could be there, but now it looks like a free horse race, because I'll be honest, I don't see Steve catching these folks unless he puts in a huge effort on this this next rolling section. And he's going to have to put in a huge effort because these guys aren't going to slow for him. And the gap's already 100 meters. Okay, I'm gonna drop back and have a look and see what's going on behind. So Steve is 105 meters behind. We'll check on this battle later, see whether he manages to close it. But he's really got to put the hammer down and chase. Mike Wareham, he's 430 meters behind, so he's not coming back. Hope you don't mind me saying that, Mike, but you're not. That it's all over for you, sir. Ivo Librex, again, no man's land. He may well be joined by Kickr, and if that happens, they could ride together. They could potentially catch Mike. I'm only calling it as there we go. There's Kevin. Now the question is, can Ivo jump on with Kevin? Let's just spin the camera around and have a look and see. Is Ivo putting in an effort? No, he's not. So, well, he's putting in an effort, but he's not closing the gap on Kevin at the moment. The wise thing to do is when you, and they can see the same as me on screen. So when you see a rider fast approaching from behind, you put the power down and you immediately jump on his wheel as he's alongside you and get in his draft. You don't allow him to whiz on past you and open up a big gap, which is what's happened here. So Ivo's not going to close this gap on Kevin if Kevin keeps the power down. And there's no reason why let's just go back up to Mike. You can see that Kevin's got him in his sight. So these two could potentially come together. And that's only going to help them. Because Mike is actually closing in on Steve now. And just to show you, Steve's a bit further up the road. I don't think Mike can see him. He's too far behind. But if he continues to close the gap, he certainly will be able to see him. Having said that, Steve is, yeah, he's pegging the gap. It's at 240 now. We'll see whether, let's go back to these three at the front. We'll see whether it grows significantly. Yeah, Kevin is a big guy, so that's why you don't want to let him catch you guys, because if he catches you and stays with you to the end, there's a good chance Kevin will win the sprint. But I don't think he's going to catch you. I think you three are gone. So let's go further back. There's Steve, 206. Never say never. And Steve won't give up. He's a fighter. Now, these two have done what I said they would do, and that's right. They come together, they're riding together. They're not teammates, or at least because although they're both wearing blue jerseys, you can clearly see that they're not both wearing the same shorts. So it's different outfits, I think. And in fact, we'll use the feature and we'll check on that now. There you go, look. So you can see the top of Kevin's jersey, and if I page down, you can see it's a completely different jersey for Mike. So although they're riding together, they're not wearing the same kit. Let's zoom out again and change the view. So those two are going to ride together for a little while, and if they work well, they could well pull back Steve. Let's have a look and see what's happening behind them. So Ivo's dropped back. He's not going to close that gap. So Ivo's in no man's land. He's 350 meters behind the guys in front. He's now almost a kilometer in front of Chris Little. And Chris is just now riding to finish. And as is Alex. Stick with it, guys. Finish the race. Now, what time is it? I need to get back on the bike and turn the pedals. So just let me turn the pedals. Okay, that's enough to keep me in the event. And we should be approaching the halfway point here pretty soon. Oh no, let's go to the leaders and see. Yeah, in fact they've passed the halfway point. The leaders. Now I didn't, you can see the yellow banner in the distance. I didn't, and in fact if we page down, has Steve reached the yellow banner yet? Yeah. Ivo. And as I said, they've caught up with Steve. So these three need to work together. Steve needs to jump on their wheels as they come past. He doesn't want to let them gap him. So come on, Steve, jump on the wheel. Yeah, he's doing so. So he really needs to put in an effort here. And you can see he's doing so. 3.5 watt kilos. So Steve is really trying to stay with these guys. I mean, Kevin's a big rider, but he's really powerful on this kind of terrain, you know. So obviously he's going to pull out a bit of a gap, but it starts to go slightly uphill, so they should be able to hold him. Kevin will pull out a little bit of a gap here, but they should be able to peg him back and hold him as the terrain starts to go uphill. So I'd expect those three to ride together. Let's just see what's happening in front of them. There's Kevin, and you can see the two behind. They've got him in sight. I don't think Kevin's going to ride away from them. I just don't. I think they'll pull him back. So let's check and see what's happening in front of him. So we've almost a 400 meter gap here, 380 to these three. And to my mind, this is where the race is. I think these three will stay away, and the winner's going to come from these riders. So what I'm going to try and do now, folks, is I'm going to pull up the. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to pull up this window. I'll just drag this out of the way. Why is it not replicating on my other monitor? Okay, let's see if we can switch it on. And I'm really struggling with my system tonight, so you'll have to forgive the glitches. This is really frustrating. Okay, let's go back up and see if we can pull this window across to there. Yeah, we got it. Okay. So what I'm doing now is I'm just results sign-ups. There we go. So we've got the sign-ups. I just want to check on his name's Nicky. It's Nicky Hogarth, and I just want to have a look and see what kind of results we've been getting from him, just to make sure that he's not above the 3.2 limit. .14 there. So let's click on him. There we go, and have a look. Yeah, he's above the 3.27. Now, I'll have a look at some of his other results, but that is officially above the I usually let it go out to 3.25. So I'll have a look and see. Let's have a look. So you can see these three are working well together. Let's just get back on. Yeah, Kevin has closed the gap to 300 meters, and as Tim has said in the chat, that is not enough. There's Kevin, and it's coming down. Now what I'm going to do is let's spin it round and see, can he see the riders up the road? Because that's always a no, he can't. That was a long straight section, but no, he's still too far behind. And he's pegging it at the moment. They're not growing the gap. It's sort of like around the 318 mark. So I'm going to stay with Kevin just for a few minutes while I continue checking out okay, let's find out what's happening up the front. I'm having to try and, yeah, there we go. Okay, so Tim's going to try and push it along the front, realizing that Kevin is now pegged it back to 280 meters. So Tim is putting in a big effort here, as you can see, and needs to do so, because if Kevin closes that gap and joins them, I think he's a serious contender for the win. purely and simply because I think of the 4 riders, he would be the strongest sprinter. And I think these guys realise that, which is why they're putting in that extra effort to get away. Now I'm going to have to recheck Nicky Hogard's results, because I found one result where he's 3.27, which is over the limit. But if it's just the one result, I might well let it stand. But we'll see. If he's got another result over the 3.2, then I'm afraid I'm going to disqualify him. That's only fair, because the likes of Paul Pudell dropped out of the series because he went over the 3.2 threshold. So it wouldn't be fair on the other riders to allow, a rider to come in at this late stage and affect the results. It's a difficult call for me to make, but it's my series, and I'm very keen on keeping fairness amongst all the riders. Finally, we got 10, 10, 10. Okay. Okay, let's find out what's happening with Kevin. Okay, so the guys have pushed out to 526 meters now, which does not surprise me. They know the danger of letting Kevin get close. Steve Noble's not going to join the fray. He would be a contender, was he able to get back on, but he's not going to get back on. Okay, what's happening behind? Let's have a look. There's Steve, and he's in no man's land at the moment. Mike's a further 99 meters behind him. May well catch Steve, so there could be a bit of a battle there. But Mike and Steve are really the only two that are close together now, apart from the leaders. I don't see Ivo's in no man's land. He's going to finish in his current position. I don't see that changing. Same with Chris. He's going to finish in this position. That's not going to change. And of course, Alex Purdon is bringing up the rear, because obviously I'm not taking part in the race. So Yeah, last man on the road is Alex. Then we've got Chris Liddle. Ivo. Then Mike. Now, Mike, as I say, could join Steve. I don't know whether he will. We'll check on that battle a bit later on. There's Steve, 130 metres in front. Kevin closing the gap again, but I just don't see them letting him get back on. He's too dangerous. And in fact, you can see that this is being pushed on here. I mean, Tim's trying to get onto Hogard's wheel, and they've dropped Evan. I'm really in a bit of a quandary here about Hogard. I really am. No, we've got a 377. We've got a 377, folks. So he's definitely disqualified. Okay, well that definitely does it. I suspected he was over the limit, and that it might be hard, Chris, but I've got to be fair to other riders. I can't, Paul Pudell dropped out because he went over the threshold. I can't not keep the same standards. Yeah, I hope guys you back me up on this, but I can't allow a rider that has got a result of 377 and he's got another one above the 3.2 mark, 327. So twice he's over. I mean, I usually, if it's 325, I usually let it go. I was prepared almost to let it go at 327 if I couldn't find another result. But now, having seen the result at 377, and I haven't even checked all his other results, it's pretty clear that he's not a 3.2 rider, and I have to disqualify him. So, Chris, you might not agree with me, but I have to maintain a level playing field for the riders. It would not be fair on other riders that I've disqualified if I didn't disqualify. What's really sad is that it has affected the race because Tim jumped on his wheel. I mean, it looks like he's dropping back now. And not affecting the race. But it's too late. He's already affected, to my mind, he's already affected the race. And I wouldn't mind, folks, but all the literature, I mean, I've even gone to the point of putting it in capitals in bold lettering in the event sign up. All the literature, all the promotion clearly states 3.2 or below maximum for riders. So there's no excuse. You know, it's not a language thing. You can't blame the language because 3.2 is 3.2. What's really annoying is I don't know what more I can do. You know, we clearly advertise it as a race for 3.2 or below, and I don't know what more I can do. If riders sign up, and sadly, Nicky has affected the results tonight. He's enabled Tim to go up the road and chase, and that's affected the results. Now, I'm not saying Tim wouldn't have won this event, because on these kind of courses, he's already proved himself. He's already proved that he's probably the strongest rider. We know that. But it's still, it takes away from the event. It takes away from a fair fight, because Evan is more than capable of staying with Tim to all intents and purposes. And you clearly saw the gap being pulled out by Nicky Hogard here, and pulling Tim along the front, and Evan wasn't able to stay with them. So I'm very, very annoyed at this. You can't blame Tim, because to all intents and purposes, I didn't announce that he was disqualified until after Tim had got the gap on Evan. So you can't blame Tim for following him. Anyway, let's concentrate on the action. So it doesn't look like, with a gap of 440 meters back to Evan, it doesn't look like Timmy's going to get caught here. So another first place, and that'll be 3 in the series for Tim. I think he's got a couple of second places as well. So he's a deserving leader of the series. I don't think he can be caught now. There's one more stage to come, a hilly stage. But even that is going to suit the likes of Tim, because once you get over the first big hill, it's more or less downhill or flat for the second half of the race. So the final race in the series isn't going to be a decider at this point, because I think Tim's capable of staying in the top 3 or 4 places easily on the last stage. So we have our series leader here, and I think that's going to remain the case. You can see that Nicky's doing the right thing now. He's dropping back. He's not getting involved. And that's good, but it's too late. Too little, too late. And you can see Kevin is actually catching up with Evan. Now, this would have been a really interesting battle. And the question is, folks, would Kevin have caught up with Evan, Oystenson, and Tim Cook? Because I think it may have well stayed together. And the 3 of them could well have ended up going to the finish together. We'll never know. It's too late now to extrapolate that possible finding. And I think the positions that you can see now on the road are the positions that are going to basically, there's Chris, there's Alex. So Alex is Lantern Rouge bringing up the rear. He'll score 8 points tonight. 7 points. Chris Little will score 6. Ivo will score 5. Mike will score 4. Steve will score 3. I think I'm right here, or is it 4? Yeah, sorry, 4, because Evan will score, and then you've got you've got this battle here between Kevin and Evan for second and third, because Tim's out the front, and you can see approaching the 1 kilometre to go banner. So I'm going to stick with Tim. He's clearly going to win the event, and the battle is going to be for second place. So let's zoom in on Tim and watch him fly under the red kite. 600-metre gap, he could even stop pedalling and still take this win. So there we go. I'm sorry the race was spoilt for you, Tim. I still think you would have been up there, so it's just a shame it was spoiled. Now, I will give credit to Nicky Horgard for staying away from Evan and Kevin. Here we go, putting in an effort towards the finish. And there's the banner. And he even manages to put in a red effort. So there we go. And now this is going to be interesting. How late is Evan going to leave this to try and take Kevin? I hope I'm pronouncing. Is it? I don't know if it's Kevin or Kevin. I think it's Kevin. Not sure. Could be getting that wrong, and it could be Kevin. If I am, I apologise. I should be able to remember, but I just can't. My brain's fried at the moment with the heat. So who's your money on here, folks? My money's on Kevin or Kevin. But Evan's on his wheel, so yeah, he's in the prime position here to take the sprint. But I think once he opens it up, 0.8, 300 meters. Look, it's coming down. I think he'll leave it till about 150 meters to go, and then open up the sprint. No, he's gone. He's gone. Yeah, and like I said, if they'd pulled him to the finish, and I think without Nicky getting involved, yeah, he's got it. So second place and third to Evan. Now, if this fella hadn't got involved, I really believe it would have come down to a 3-man sprint, and Kevin could well have won it because he's by far the strongest of the 3 of them in terms of sprinting. We'll never know, and that's such a shame to spoil the race like that. Anyway, here comes Mike under the red kite. And he won't be caught by Steve, who's actually closed up the gap, but 260 metres behind. So more than enough of a gap to get to the finish. I need to breathe. Yeah, been there. Not from sprinting, because I'm no sprinter, but I've been there. This is a good effort by Mike to finish. Look, he's going into the red, so he's really putting in a big effort here. Well done, Mike. Top work, mate. We're into the final 370 meters. See how it goes. Oh, okay. Sorry, folks. Forgot to get on the machine. I do that a lot. But anyway, we've got the result. So I'm not going to jump back on the bike now because I won't get back in. So thanks for watching. That's the end of the broadcast, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.